we get reaction from the ANC. Joining us on the line, the spokesperson, Pule Mabe. Good evening, Pule, and thank you for your time. The reason President outlined today for moving the nation to level 3 is that economic activity has got to resume. But if you look at the numbers and the trajectory of infections, it has been on the high. What's the reaction from the ANC?
Well, evening to your viewers. We have said this before, that the reason why we are seeing the number of infections in this week is because government has increased its own capacity on screening and testing, which is very good for us because it now allows us to move to a level where every second or third South African has been tested for COVID-19, which is what we need. Because when we understand exactly that scientific data, we'll be able to make decisions that are informed, which is the point that the President of the Republic stressed on today. All of the decisions that they have made have been informed by scientific data, saying this we can do at this point, this we can't do at this point, because the devastating effect of doing some of the things, especially now, would be this. The President took his time today to take the people of South Africa into his own confidence and assure our people that in terms of making sure, the fact that we've done lockdown, the President has effectively outlined that doing the lockdown has effectively assisted us to be able to lessen the number of cases that we have, but it has also allowed us to prepare our health system to be able to respond adequately to the challenges or devastation brought about by the outbreak.
So it's the view of the ANC that the extended lockdown is no longer required. Not only is it unaffordable, but it's not going to help us going forward in reducing transmission.
Well, the view of the ANC has always been that decisions made by the National Coronavirus Command Council are informed. They are driven by science. But when you move us to level 3, you are doing so because you have got evidence before you which suggests that the kind of infrastructure you have on the ground, whether it's ventilators, whether it's frontline workers, and all of that, is sufficient to allow you to cope with all of that.
There have been those who've been very critical around the banning of cigarettes. Others are making that particular debate a political debate now, Pule, within the ANC, pointing to the factions that exist within the party, those who want the ban to be lifted, supporting a particular view or white monopoly capital, and those who wanted to remain supporting an RET view. The President today remaining with the ban on alcohol. Are you expecting a backlash from that?
Well, we do understand that. Many have raised issues. The ANC issued a statement yesterday, signed off by the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Comrade Ace Magashule, effectively dealing with those that might have wanted to masquerade as a tobacco cartel, for instance. And I can tell you that throughout the day, if you're on Twitter, you will have seen people who have been insulted the whole day today, by Black Twitter, all forms. I've been receiving a lot of scary messages on my own WhatsApp. If I was not a man of a strong character, I would have broken down by now. But what people need to understand is that even if I was a smoker myself, we've got to place the protection of lives higher than any other. Government is taking this decision to continue sustaining the ban on the sale of tobacco products, primarily to save lives, not because of any other economic consideration. We don't know. We can assure our people, and this point the President has made, that there will come a time when South Africa moves back to normality, when our country is not going to run on levels. It's for the first time under a democratic dispensation that we have got to run our settings through levels. There will come a time when we don't run through levels, when people can go to shoppings without even to be worried about their curfew. That time will come. Government is taking this decision, this position, not to necessarily punish our people. Our people are also expected to make sacrifices, not necessarily because they must endure this pain because it is forced on them. No, but because it is out of these sacrifices that lives will be saved. It must be understood in that context. This is the point that President Ramaphosa was making today. We had an Alliance Political Council earlier today, and that was exactly the message. Whether it's in schools, it's at taxi ranks, it's at train stations, everywhere where publics converge.
Right.
It is going to be upon how our people conduct and carry themselves, which is going to help us win the fight against coronavirus.
Let me bring in our political editor here at Newzroom Afrika, Sbungala, with a question for you. Go for it.
Pule, you say that the lockdown was to allow us to properly or to adequately prepare the public health system, but the very same consortium of modelers that was brought by the Minister of Health shows us and tells us that will require something like between 30 and 35,000 ICU beds between June and November. And the reality is that we're nowhere near that. It tells me that we are not prepared. How would you respond to that?
Well, you will know too that part of the challenges effectively have got to do with our own resource capabilities. Minister Mkhize has spoken to these issues. He has demonstrated and taken the country in his own confidence when he was responding to those kinds of issues, that they are doing everything, including the construction of field hospitals, to make sure that we can respond to this adequately. It is very important that, especially during this time, we all remain optimistic. I think it is optimism that is going to allow us to effectively develop a scheme that says we can win this battle. We are a resilient nation. We are a positive people. We are selfless ourselves. We must use the confidence and courage of our people to be able to win this battle over the coronavirus. We are going to rely a lot on how our people conduct themselves to be able to come out of this thing more stronger than ever before. It doesn't matter. Government can make multiple investments to help us fight the pandemic. If the people themselves do not heed the call, do the things that government is saying they must do, we will not be able to emerge victorious. The responsibility here is on the rest of South Africa's people to help government achieve its own objectives.
So there's a sense that the President Pule puts Tshwane, Joburg Metro, Ekurhuleni, Nelson Mandela Bay, Buffalo City, all in the same bag as Cape Town, saying these are our hot spots. Is the President not willing to really say there is devastation happening in the Western Cape, Cape Town in particular? Let's keep that city on lockdown a little bit further.
Well, I think we will have been unfair if we analyze it in that way. The President is giving a fair picture to South Africans, so that we all understand, those of us who are in Joburg, in Tshwane, in Ekurhuleni, in Cape Town, we all understand that our conduct can no longer be normal. When we talk about the new normal, it means that these cities that are now identified as hotspots, the exercise of the new normal has got to be exerted. It is not because we are no. I mean, there is nothing else. The Secretary General of the United Nations has said it, that you cannot afford to save the economy against livelihoods. Because if there are no people, there will not be an economy. So we ought to understand that. And you can only make people understand this if you give them a clear picture. The President was honest enough, opened up to the people he leads, gave a clear picture of the kind of challenges that we face, so that how we conduct ourselves in these different cities that have been identified as hotspots, we too understand that we can wake up today not being infected, but come back to our families with young kids infected. We go to the malls, we go to the taxi ranks, we go to the train stations, we meet a lot of other people. Now, the notion of staying at home, the notion of maintaining social distance, the notion of sanitizing as part of the necessary protocols to help us fight COVID-19, the notion of being able to know our own comorbidities is part of allowing us to know the things that we need to do. Corona has made us appreciate that unless we are honest enough about our own conditions, we will not be able to help fellow countrymen fight the spread of the pandemic. This is not so much about government. It is very much about our own personal conduct